Brother's best kept secrets. Now, I'm going to tell you how they're settling up with technology. There's two different types of mind control. And we're going to deal with the first type of mind control for part one before we break. The first kind of mind control will then let you know what's happening with the second kind of mind control. The first kind of mind control gets real deep. This is why your metaphysical antennas got to be up at full tilt while I'm talking. Now, all of y'all here, how many of y'all into metaphysics, the deep kind of metaphysics? Show a hand. All right, not too many of y'all into that deep metaphysics. Now, metaphysics is going to have to be the quote-unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely. If you don't understand metaphysical principles, forget going to school, forget going to work. Well, go to work. Just be blissful, and when time comes when to throw the dirt on you, then, just cash in. But if you are about evolving, it is time you open up that metaphysical grave that had been dug for you, the part of you, the spark that lays buried. That is what's going to open you up. That's what's going to give you the ability to escape your metaphysical mind. Damn all of what it is they're showing you out here. This is the illusion. If you saw Matrix, it had told you it's the illusion. But you didn't have to go to see Matrix because we've been telling you that for 25 years. And I know the elders have been telling you that longer than that from inside. Okay? Two types of mind control. Stay with me. Some of y'all are not going to be able to stay with me. Some of y'all are going to have to sleep. It's all right. I'm going to speak to that other side, the part that is awake. Two types of mind control. The first, and again, what I wrote down here came from inspiration. In the nighttime, when people are sleeping, I stare out at the sky, the window, and this is what you're going to have to do to pick up. Let that melatonin and melanin start to secrete, and then start picking up that information. The first kind of mind control can be viewed as consciousness containment and manipulation through biological, psychological, etheric, and spiritual colonization and terraforming. Now, what do I mean by that? What am I meaning by that? Consciousness containment and manipulation through biological, psychological, etheric, and spiritual colonization is based upon the terraforming of the blood crystals, of the blood matrix, of the flow of life and light that is now inside of you. Everybody is getting hip to how they're electronically playing with your brain. And by nature alone, your awareness of it creates specific types of light codes that help you to recognize it subconsciously and bypass the programming. It isn't working just to shove a chip in your head anymore. Because the awareness factor, people outgrow. Just like you give somebody a cigarette for the first time and they start choking and coughing. The same principle when they put that chip inside of your head. Your body tends to become accommodating of it, and if your consciousness level is strong enough, you bypass the circuitry. They're finding out more and more that mental manipulation, biological manipulation, isn't working at the level they are currently practicing. So how have they gone? This is what we're going to get into. The second form of mind control is technological interfacing of gadgets with bioelectrical neuronal sites in the brain and the nervous system. Let me check that again for you. Technological interfacing with gadgets or of gadgets with bioelectric neuronal sites in the brain and throughout the nervous system. That's the technical part. That's the one we'll get into after we go to the break. Now, the topics for mind control include displacement of consciousness, the filter of experience, electronic dissolution and disturbance and rearrangement of your memory. That includes your archetypal memory. That includes you not being able to interface with the information that your ancestors left in the blood genes. And how they're going to do that. Another form is condensed knowledge, so that you work within specific parameters and nothing else. 4 or 5, reality and culture is a language construct. Reality and culture is a language construct. 6, now check, and very carefully. Eating is a form of information transference. Let me repeat that to you. Eating is a form of information transference. Now, I'm going to let that sit in and digest a little bit. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about and why it is that they got to get to your food. And why you got to be doubly and triply careful of what it is you put into your mouth as sustenance. 7, the lockdown in third-dimensional space equals time reality through genetic reconstruction. Let me repeat that. The lockdown in third-dimensional space is equal to time reality through genetic reconstruction. In other words, your genes are being manipulated to maintain the ceiling of your awareness so that you will have no light code transmissions filtering through the specific filter of experience that they're going to give you. So your experience is going to be given to you so that your experience now amounts to being you building your own imprisonment. 8, synthetic telepathy. That's part of the technological and how they're going to play synthetic telepathy on you. People are now who have the chips in their head have been experiencing synthetic telepathy. That was the brother that we brought to Gary Bird and to the City Sun that time, Brian Wrong, when we exposed the fact that the chips were being put into people's heads all through the prison system. Who was there when we did that? You were there at the time. We exposed that. People thought we were crazy, but the Sun, that's why they shut the Sun down, people, because the Sun was dropping some serious science about what was going on the metaphysical tip and what they were doing, the government's control. Mind control is frequency warfare. Let me say that again. Mind control is frequency warfare. They ain't got to shoot no more bullets. They don't have to strap you down like they did Dr. Frankenstein and stick a node up your nose and up your ass and all up your back and in your ears and shoot electrical volts through it anymore. They can deal with frequency through the television, through your radio, and when I was speaking about synthetic telepathy, through your bones. Through your bones. Now, in the electronic dissolution of consciousness, there are some extraterrestrial interferences and incursion around that. Now, some people say, well, damn, here you go. He talking about little gray and green men running around, sticking us and prodding us here and there. Let's get it straight. Your ancestors were dealing with other neighborhoods long before our experience with the Caucasoid. It's all over our writings. It's all over our experience. We are extremely matter-of-fact about this. We are only getting hyped and excited about this. Why? Because he's getting hyped and excited about it. He's only now coming into the realization that there's nobody. See, he's been going around the globe conquering and killing everybody thinking that he don't have no more strangers in here he calls his neighborhood. So there ain't nothing else for him to fear. Fear of a black planet. But now he's beginning to see that there is a wider neighborhood and a vaster amount of neighbors, and that scares the shit out of him. So what does he do? He punks up and cuts a deal. This is how he has been able to make these leaps and bounds in technology. You got to remember that there is an entity which we're going to get more deeply into. There is what we call the fallen lords. At least I call them the fallen lords. You can call them the Elohim, you can call them the fallen angels, and all the different names that they have for them. These are the fallen lords of light. And they do not like, you are nothing more than vegetables to be grown and processed, much like you saw it here. They took a piece of that for this movie. But it's much deeper than that. It's much more significant than this movie. They tried to give you a little bit more science fiction than science fact, but there's more science fact if you know where to look for it. Now, frequency warfare, or the electronic dissolution of memory and consciousness, was developed by the CIA immediately after Kennedy was assassinated. It was a project to create electronically controlled robot killers that were programmed to kill on demand. EDOM, EDOM, or the Edomites. EDOM means electronic distillation of memory. They change your memory around, who you are, and take away your identity so that the identity you have belongs to them, and you kill on demand based upon what they want you to do. Edom eliminates the memory of the individual or alters the memory of events that the individual was involved in. By electronically jamming the brain, the existing acetylcholine, and that's the part of the brain, that's the part of the essence that the brain secretes for your memory, the existing acetylcholine creates static which blocks both sight and sound. This method can be used to either block or erase the memory, or to slow it down so that events seem to happen after they actually occurred. So you have a delay of focusing in, and the chemistry that puts the picture of the experience into your memory bank is delayed. So in other words, you take a picture, they have made the solution, the picture is your experience. They've made a solution, or they've done something so that the solution that keeps that develops the negative, so to speak, they've delayed it so that the negative now takes so long to become part of your memory that you recognize that it ain't be like a month or a year from now that you think it just happened yesterday. So they have the ability to slow down the ability for you to even make a memory or even recall a memory. This is how deep they've gotten. Excuse me? Well, yeah, it's more of a kind of a condensed form of time manipulation, because it's not really time manipulation, it's time manipulation perception. Little difference, yeah. Now, biological radio effects, this is again part of the technological, which is going to lead you into the biospiritual form of mind control. The use of very low frequency and ultrasonic affecting both electrical behavior within the brain and actual brain tissue. They have technological devices that they now have circling the planet that can affect the electrical pulses in your brain as well as the tissue of the brain in such a way to force behavioral modification and changes. There is the capability now to bounce pulses of 7 to 12 hertz off the 8 hertz ionosphere. Now, the ionospheric envelope that we are in, they can bounce these particular 7 to 12 hertz waves off of it, and within 3 pulses, entrain crazy and bizarre forms of energies into your brain, which in turn now enlists crazy and bizarre behavior. So they could seed war or peace. They could seed fights, riots, and so forth, based upon manipulation through very low frequency, or what is known as VLFs, and ultrasonic frequencies. All right? Now we're going to just speak about how they are going to get into dealing with mind control on a more subtle and a lot more insidious level, because everybody's hip to what they're going to see. You're going to knock on your head and find a chip. It ain't going to be like that anymore. You're going to be the chip. You're going to be the one that is your own mind control based upon what they do to the biology in your body. Now listen very carefully. The blood is the river of life. It is also the river of light. Be very clear. It is not only the circulation of nutrients, but also the circulation of consciousness. Blood is the circulation of physiological consciousness, biospiritual consciousness. It is within the blood that you find all of the components necessary to coalesce, bring together, to bring you to higher levels of awareness. If your blood stinks, if it's filthy, if it is depraved, if it is full of garbage, you cannot enlist, or you cannot filter higher light waves through such a bloodstream and then have it convert to intelligence. It is impossible. If the blood is polluted, there is no way for you to convert higher fields of light codes into higher fields of light intelligence. It isn't going to work. Spirit feels its essence in matter. Spirit has no feelings. There is no feelings. Feelings puts matter in touch with spirit. So spirit needs matter to know what spirit is, to know what it is. So there ain't nobody floating around there and knowing everything, and I know what you feel like. Trying to call on some ghost or some entity that never took on a physical form, forget it. They don't give a shit about you. There is no empathy. They need to have physiological experience in order for them to set up an empathic bridge between the physical and the spiritual, so that you can now, that's where your ancestors come in. That empathic bridge is based upon them having been in corporeal life. Once you're in corporeal life, the spirit has been changed. It has been quickened in such a way that it yearns to get back in there. That's where you put all kind of experiences on the soul, which is essentially the bridge between the spirit and the physical. So spirit feels its essence in matter. Matter, listen carefully, children. Matter is an envelope that seals the spirit at specific levels of awareness. Matter is an envelope that seals the spirit in to the flesh at specific levels of awareness. How light manipulates the envelope determines how the envelope is refined in order to expand it to allow the spirit to feel itself at higher and ever higher levels of awareness and consciousness. Check. Did you get what I just said? Follow me and stay with me, because it's going to get deeper. Once you get this perception in, your cells are now jumping around saying, oh man, more, feed, oh this is like ice cream, feed me. Because when you start getting into the knowledge or the meal that is the self, you become insatiable. And then all of this physical bullshit don't mean nothing, because you no longer have what? The appetite for it. Check? All right. How light manipulates the envelope, and I'm talking about sunlight, not this light. How light manipulates the envelope determines how the envelope is refined in order to expand that envelope to allow the spirit to feel itself. Remember I said its words, to feel itself at higher and ever higher levels of awareness and consciousness. To control the evolutionary advancement of the flesh, the spiritual advancement of man as well, one must seal and maintain the present envelope at its present level of self-awareness. Now, did you follow me when I said that? Because here's what is necessary to keep you in check. I'm going to repeat it now. To control the evolutionary advancement, that is the spiritual advancement and the spiritual awareness of man, one must seal and maintain the present envelope structure, which means the present perceptual matrix, the present, that's a window, this is a mic, this is a desk kind of scenario. But these are not what I just said. These are agreements based upon our agreement to perceive them as such. Remember I said that matter is a biphenomenal effect. And the only way matter becomes hard is through the agency of man's focus on that thing. Matter has two components. Matter has two personalities, a wave and a particle. But when man, or when the human brain is not looking at the wave, at matter, at its highest level, it is a waveform. But when human mind, when human thought, when human perception focuses in on that wave, it becomes a particle. So it means that the human consciousness is necessary, or is an integral part in how matter coalesces into what we call reality. Are you all with me now? Because I'm getting ready to take off, and if you can't stand the heights, just lay down and go to sleep a little bit. And I'm saying these things because when you understand how deep this is, when you understand the level that the beast is playing on, you now are at the field. You cross from him. Football, definitely, 1-to-1. And you the quarterback, you the front line, you the running back, you the pass receiver. You're everything. You're taking over the game now because you know how it's being played on you. So they must control the envelope at its present level of self-awareness. Now, how do they structure that awareness? Through your education system, through your television, through your entertainment, through church, definitely through church. They got you in light code lockdown, boy. They really got you believing that some white man came down, laid on a cross, and saved your asses. I was hearing them coming. Man, everywhere in Carolina I went, there was a church on every goddamn corner. Hey, to the words of the preacher man. Sucking it in, just like you saw in the Matrix. They had my boy plugged in everywhere, feeding on him, feeding on his light. Now, in order to maintain the envelope of your awareness, in order to make you believe that this is who you are and this is all you are going to be, they have to dysfunction the blood. They have to dysfunction the blood, because it is the blood that is the crystal that takes the light and refracts it. Takes it and specializes it, much like a prism does. When you look at white light, you take a prism and you put that prism, which is a crystal, up to that white light, boom, you get 7 different colors, or the perception of 7 different wave bands. That's how consciousness works. It works to diffract what is inherent within the light into what you now see as those 7 colors. Those 7 colors become your awareness. Check? All right, now, stay with me. The light, your blood crystals refract the white light into what you see as consciousness. Now, a little preliminary information. The sun is your Pez dispenser. It dispenses the codes of consciousness in vectors of light. It is the sacrificial sun. What you see as the corona is the crown of thorns. You are essentially taking in light at specific frequencies and valences, refracting them through the temple, which is the crystallization of light. You are crystal light. And I don't mean that damn crystal stuff you just straight up there drinking. I'm talking about you are crystallized light. And you are diffracting concentrated light into the reality based upon the structure and design of the temple of God. How your blood is constituted says what level of light you can process. Ooh, I see the lights are going on in some of the brothers and sisters. I better get to my blood. Well, that's why they want your blood. That's why you see all these vampire movies coming out. He needs your blood. He needs to find out what's in your blood that's going to keep you around and him not.
That's why you want the DNA sample.
There you go. Well, we're going to get to DNA. Oh, Miss DNA. Now, there are principles of energy. Listen carefully. Principles of energy, formed energy, powerful principles of energy. Principles of consciousness awareness that exist to create harmony for themselves through havoc to you. Check?
Sure.
It's the order of things. You can't blame them for it. Just like a leopard goes and hunts and kills the lamb, it's the order of things. You have higher evolutionary beings who you believe are supposed to be so sweet and loving and because now I know light. Hey, these motherfuckers know how to get shit done now on a whole other level. They've learned to manipulate light. They've learned to condense it and change it and use it and take it and do what they want to do with it. But by that very act alone, they have created their own ceiling. Because once you start pimping off somebody, once you start using somebody, once you start working off of somebody like these preachers do, like religion does, like government does, once you start pimping people, you have to keep them at that level so that they can remain your food source.
Come on.
So you have higher levels, higher beings that are of the lower order that have to maintain that order through making you their vegetable garden. So your whole consciousness envelope, your whole consciousness environment is being terraformed by these higher light beings who are actually on the lower strata once you get to know them. They look all fly. I mean, you know, they look barren. Somebody see a star walking down the street. You see Wesley Snipes. Go, Wesley. Go, Wesley. You say, oh, shit, Wesley Snipes, baby. Woo! What's happening? You all up in there, stars in your eyes and shit. That's the same way we would look at them. But they ain't no different than you. They just got up to the tower by doing all kind of shit, making you believe that they're somehow different from you. But they have contained themselves by their actions. And they know that you have the ability to reach light speed. They know you can bypass this illusion that you are now functioning in. They know what your inheritance is, and they are about keeping you from getting it. Your havoc is their harmony. Check? All right. Listen carefully. Ignorance is a food source. Ignorance is a food source. Ignorance causes disturbances because of its random acts of chaos due to the lack of awareness of self. So by your very act, you create disturbances that would not have been there based on your ignorance. So by your acts of ignorance, the dynamics for their sustenance is made ready for them. And you are ignorant as hell. That's planned. Disturbances in the natural, ordered, and harmonic flow of light create peripheral or ambient frequencies from which these principles of consciousness, or these fallen lords, extract and receive their nourishment and sustenance. Let me say that again. Disturbances in the natural, ordered, and harmonic flow of light create peripheral or ambient frequencies from which these principles of consciousness extract or feed and receive their nourishment and sustenance. They are evil only in the sense that they cause us evil by our participation with them. Now, the idea behind evil is a concept based on the acculturation of behavior. What is good, we say this is good because for the mass and for the whole, we benefit. If you do a specific action, if you are participating in certain things and it creates something that's bad, and then we say, okay, that's evil. It's a consensus. Because people who are evil, some of the nicest guys, some of the nicest people, evil as hell. But when you get to know them, they're like, hey, what's up?